The base model 16-inch MacBook Pro is an elegantly built machine and is definitely powerful in its own right. How much you'll get out of a device like this really depends on how much you rely on Apple's apps and macOS though. Hey, I'm Alex, and today we'll be walking through my experience using the 16-inch MacBook Pro for 2 weeks, as I was curiously testing the waters, thinking of switching back to macOS after 4 years on PC. I used the 13-inch Retina 2010 base model MacBook Pro all through college, and it was a workhorse. It powered countless audio and video projects, along with movie nights, practically all my TV, and whatever video games were possible at the time. After college was really when my interest in tech took off though, and finally having some money meant I could dive into PC building. I always intended and tried to Hackintosh because I really do like the experience of macOS. I was able to get a few running really well, but always found issues with nitty-gritty details like Intel QuickSync not working or random crashes. Having to troubleshoot all the time was a pain among other projects I was working on, so I switched to Windows, which also meant switching to Premiere Pro and some other kind of audio DAW like Pro Tools. Although both have been great for me, I still feel that nostalgia of how great and easy things were using both Final Cut for video and Logic Pro for audio. So what better time to revisit the whole experience than with the new 16-inch? Starting with the screen. The 3072 by 1920 display is the best that I've ever seen on a laptop. I haven't used one with an OLED display yet, but honestly OLED kinda gives me eye strain, so for now I'd prefer LED. On the spec sheet, the display is P3, rated for 429 nits, which is just short of the iPhone 11 Pro's 500, or something like the Dell XPS 15 626. The display is also as True Tone, which I am a huge fan of. I haven't used a MacBook with the Touch Bar for an extended period of time yet, but I've already felt its hindrance, purely because it's hard to see when the laptop is flat on a table or on your lap. I haven't really known what's going on up there. I can't really tell what options are available. I could see myself getting used to it after extended use, but right now I choose not to have it or have it on a spring-loaded tilt mechanism so you can see it at a usable angle like a Stream Deck or something like that. The touchpad and mousing experience on this and macOS in general is so superior to Windows, it's kind of sad. Even with the Logitech G Pro on a 144Hz display, the touchpad on the MacBook still feels better. I really like the speakers on the MacBook, but the bass is definitely too loud. Having basically a Bose SoundTouch in a laptop is fantastic though. The speakers get really loud and they don't distort at high volume. They're in a great spot too, but typing and listening to music is a little weird because I feel like it still distorts a little bit just because your hands are there. I'd imagine that would happen on every laptop with speakers right on the keyboard though. The keyboard on MacBooks has been a hot button issue for the past couple generations of these computers, and I guess I'm a fortunate one who hasn't had to deal with the bad butterfly switches or get a top case replaced because of keys going bad on my computer. But the keyboard on the 16-inch is good. It's similar in feel to my old reliable 13-inch, but the keys on that definitely had more travel just because of the body size. The keyboard is comfortable to type on for a while, and I unfortunately can't speak to the reliability, but I definitely wish people who have this computer luck and hope they don't have issues like in the past years. The microphone on the MacBook is basically as good as something like a Blue Snowball 2. It could seriously be used for some light professional applications. I'll do this next section of the video with it to show you a sample. And we get this going here, and we go here, and then here. Okay, so here are the meat and potatoes. It's kind of awesome how much Logic Pro hasn't changed in the last time I used it in 2016. My typical rock song Logic project looks like 3 to 5 guitar tracks with amps and compression, bass with amp and compression, drums routed for their individual tracks, and anywhere between 5 to 10 vocal tracks, then buses for mixing and mastering. And this MacBook handles that flawlessly. It's honestly an amazing pick for music and even better with a RAM upgrade. Music is really hard to benchmark though, as every project is so different. There's an awesome benchmark I found on logicprohelp.com that simulates synths with Sculpture and a full effects rack. I don't really do electronic music, so I think this is a good example for this. I could have 70 tracks playing with the full effects rack stable without the system overload dialog popping up, which is so sick. Now, this is where I start talking about how hot this thing is. At stock fan curve, it goes from 0 to 100 real quick and literally hits 100C at max fan curve. But bear in mind that this is literally 100% CPU usage from synth modeling and audio effects on 70 tracks without crashing. So if you've got this on a desk with peripherals and don't mind the fan noise, you'll be in good shape. Final Cut is what this thing is made for though. This video was edited on the laptop, hopefully without that stupid Catalina frame drop bug. So I'll catch up with you after the edit here. Honestly, the performance in Final Cut has been excellent. I'm only working with 1080p footage mostly for this video. The usage things like scrolling through the timeline and applying effects has been great. No slowdowns, no real fan ramp ups either. So for my use for this, Final Cut was better than I remember, and I'm on pace to get this whole edit done in just a few hours. The section's also a test of the built-in FaceTime webcam, still only 720p, which is disappointing compared to some other laptops, but I think macOS has let Apple tune the color well, so I think it looks great for what it is. Gaming on the base model 16-inch MacBook Pro is a hit or miss thing to say the least. Through Boot Camp and Windows, the drivers for the Radeon Pro 5300 are weird with display resolutions. You can't add custom ones through the software, and some games still only recognize the screen at its full resolution, so when you change the game's resolution, it shrinks the window and leaves a black border to fill the rest. So in order to use the lower resolutions, you have to either use windowed or borderless and see if that even works. At max resolution medium settings full screen for newer AAA titles like Fallen Order, you're looking at sub 30 FPS, which is honestly a lot more than I thought it would be. In something like Destiny, around the same, Witcher 3, a little more. Dropping the settings to something like 2560 by 1600 or 1920 by 1200 really brings out some performance and in some cases even doubles frame rates. 1920 by 1200 is garbage talent in this display though, and in my opinion, it's not worth playing that low. At 2560 by 1600, you're effectively pushing 4 million pixels less than max resolution, which is what gets you those better frames. Here are some benchmarks. In conclusion, I'm not going to be keeping the MacBook this time, but it's definitely it's not you, it's me type of situation. For me right now, I value higher performance in gaming with a high refresh rate display, and the flexibility of meeting a desktop has, not only for gaming, but my own creative tasks as well. Although the MacBook goes toe-to-toe in performance and creative tasks with my desktop, it can't nearly keep up in gaming without something like an eGPU, which could be its whole video for why I'm not going to do something like that. Using macOS again though has brought back that Hackintosh itch, so hit subscribe if you're interested in seeing me tackle that in 2020. Thanks for watching this video guys, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button, and if you hated it, there's a button for that too. Let me know in the comments what other kind of videos you'd like to see on here, and even though I've said it in like my last 3 videos, I'm trying to come back with a solid one every week starting now. So subscribe. Goodbye.